state is Chico needed help in 2008, and everybody came and helped us out. And when other people need help, we will help them out. So we've been over to the Mendocino several times. It was on the west side of the valley. We've been up north, the Ponderosa fire, the Reading fire. We've been down south, the Roberts fire. Hasn't been too bad right here in the city this year. I'm hoping for rain. But once it does get wet down here, then we usually end up going south to LA or San Diego because the Santa Ana winds kick up down there, and we go help them out. And why? Because when we need them up here, San Diego will come up here. Los Angeles comes up here. San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento. We all just work together to get the job done.
Yeah, that's good. So just out of curiosity, how do you feel when people say that the fire department should have less funding? Like, what are their reasons for saying that you guys should have less funding? Like,
I think there's a lot of overtime. And I think people see that because it's new in California. And I think they started in 07 or 08, must have been 07, where they started putting what we make in the paper. I didn't think it was a big deal. I came here in 08, but it was a big deal down here. My gosh, they're putting what we make in the paper, and people get mad. Well, when I started in 1979, in Denver, every paycheck, we got paid every 2 weeks. It was in the paper every 2 weeks. Here's exactly what Jim Berry did, working at the fire department. So I've always been used to it. And when I was up with the city of Portland, they put it out every year too. So I was just kind of used to it. Well, it hit here in California. The court decision said, yep, the media has a right to have that information and publish it. Well, right as the economy is spiraling in, then you see what people are making, particularly in the fire service, where there's a lot of overtime. And some of that is because they go to all these fires all over the state. People lose sight of maybe somebody in the fire department, one of my subordinates, making over $200,000 a year, way more than I make. But they lose sight of, well, that person worked 5,500 hours last year. Well, federal government, there's laws, labor laws that say, for the most people, if I'm working at a restaurant or something, or in an office, if I work 40 hours a week, I can get that at straight time. The first hour I work over 40 hours in a week, say I'm making $10 an hour, well, if I work 41, that 41st hour is $15 an hour. Federal government, we have no say in it. The federal government says time and a half. Well, in the fire department, they realize our shift schedule, which are 24 hours or longer, they let us work 53 hours straight before overtime kicks in. So we work, our folks, 56 hours a week, because we're a 24/7, 365 organization. So we have to keep the stations up. We don't close at night. We're not closed on the holidays or weekends. We have to be here 24 hours a day. Well, there's 168 hours in a week, 24 times 7. Well, if we work 56-hour work weeks, 168 divided by a 56-hour work week means to fill one firefighter position, I can use just 3 people. 3 of us can fill that spot.
okay.
If I worked them a 40-hour week, so they didn't have that 3 hours of overtime built in, it would not take just the 3 of us. It would take a 4th person and a 5th of a 5th person. Because again, you do the math. 168 divided by 40 is 4.2 people. So it's cost effective for us to actually have that built in overtime. But again, you look at if I'm on a 40-hour week, which supposedly I am, working an office job, I'm scheduled to work 2,080 hours a year.
Okay.
I have firefighters that work 5,500 hours a year.
Oh my gosh.
But it's cheaper to the taxpayer to pay them the overtime because the benefits in California are so high. In between health care, their pension costs, etc. They look at it, it's about 1 2/3. So your hourly, so if my hourly is $10, my benefits on top of that are another $6.67 or so.
Right.
Makes sense? Well, you have me as an extra person at 1.67 basically to work, or I can hire you to overtime at 1.5. It's not a huge number, but I've got a 1/1700ths difference,
adds up,
and it adds up.
Yeah.
So it's actually cheaper to have these people work too many hours.
Right. Then
You have to watch out of the safety and fatigue issues, but it's cheaper. But people see that and say, just see the hour or see what they're making. They don't look at the hours. They're like, there's somebody in the fire department making $200,000. That's criminal. Okay, well, let's do the math. You know, our top step supervisors on the engine or ladder truck make like $33 an hour. That seems pretty reasonable. You know, I call a plumber to the house. It's like $80, $90 an hour
Yeah.
for a plumber. And these folks are, you know, they're running, you know, if they're a ladder truck, it's over $1 million piece of equipment. They're making life or death decisions, going out there, you know, at times saving lives, making big decisions, helping out the community for $33 an hour. I kind of look at that as, hey, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's a lot of value.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
if I've got to pay them time and a half, you know, whatever that works out to, maybe they're making $50 an hour now. Still, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper than hiring another person to avoid the overtime.
And is it right that you guys get 28% of the town's funds? Is that right?
Yeah, it's probably close.
Yeah.
That's pretty common. I mean, this is the third fire department I've worked for. Generally, public safety, the law enforcement and fire take up the vast majority of the general fund because they're the two biggest departments generally. And that's usually the public says, what, you know, what's most important to me
Yeah.
as a citizen? I want to feel safe. Well, how do I feel safe? I need cops.
Yeah.
And I get it. I used to be a cop. Cops come first because people are worried about getting mugged or
Yeah.
broken into or whatever. They're not so worried about it. You know, most people haven't had a fire. Have you?
No.
Have you? Oh, you have?
Yeah.
See, until you have it, a lot of people don't even realize the importance of it. And then when you need it, it's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And then you put the EMS, the emergency medical services on that. It's usually cops first, fire rescue second. And so they're the biggest parts of local government generally. So they eat up the lion's share of the general fund.
Yeah. And how many firefighters do you guys have between all 6 stations?
Well, there's 19 a day, so there's 57 total times with the 3 shifts. But then we're authorized to have 2 extra people a day to try to avoid overtime. So, but we have 5 vacancies right now. So you could say we have today 58, but we're
58.
authorized to have 66.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, we got all of these ones. Yeah, I think we got